Finland has once again won as the happiest country on the planet, according to the World Happiness Report. This is now the 6th year in a row that Finland has won the honor. And once you get into the policies that have been implemented in Finland, you can understand. Now, Nordic countries tend to do real well. People be real happy in these Nordic countries, according to the annual World Happiness Report. So let's get into it. Let's get to the details. Now, before we get to Finland specifically, let's talk about how the World Happiness Report works. It's a survey that's published by the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network. They take survey data from the Gallup World Poll, in which respondents rank their life satisfaction on a scale from 1 to 10. The researchers then use that data to explain what makes some countries happy and some countries sad. Okay, so here's what they came up with. Let's watch.
6 explanatory factors that help explain the different levels of happiness between countries. First up is social support. In order to feel secure, people need to feel that at least one person would care for them when in need. This is the #1 predictor of happiness and well-being. Next up is GDP per capita, or how much each country produces divided by the number of people in the country. Healthy life expectancy is next on the list. We look at physical and mental health. Freedom to make life choices plays a key role in people's happiness. Generosity is measured by looking at how charitable people are. The final variable is an absence of corruption. This looks at both governments and businesses.
Absence of corruption, something that the United States unfortunately does not experience these days. Corruption is baked into our system, which I'm sure Cenk is gonna have a lot to say about in just a moment. But the top 5 happiest countries in this year's survey, as I mentioned earlier, Finland came in at #1. Then you have Denmark, Iceland, Israel, and the Netherlands.
You know what the uniting factor of all those 5 countries are? They are all socialists. So now it's a mixed economy, like we're a mixed economy, but they lean more to the left, more towards social services,
yes,
which gives them the cushion to be able to feel safe enough, secure enough that they could participate. I thought the most critical of all of those was the freedom to make life choices.
Yes.
So, and that it kind of applies to almost all the categories except the last one, which is saying, hey, do I have a safety net here? Am I safe enough to be able to make a choice that I love, a choice that I enjoy? It's
economic freedom.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you don't have to work. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means maybe you could do something you love. Maybe you can get a little bit of a break when you have a baby. Maybe you won't die when you get sick because the government actually protects you. So is it surprising that that would make you more happy? Of course not. That's the most logical thing in the world. But as you know, we're going to discuss here, in America, we live under corporate rule. And corporations don't give a damn if you're happy. They only care about their bottom line. So the less they pay you and the less they pay the government for that social safety net, the more profit they make. So they've sacrificed American citizens for their profits. These countries that don't do that have incredibly happy citizens.
Absolutely.
It's not at all a coincidence.
Right, so to me, it's 2 different types of freedoms that I think are generally well represented in the top performing countries here. And that's economic freedom and also social freedom, right? Social freedom meaning if you're a woman, you get to make decisions about your own body, something that's been stripped of women here in the United States in recent years. By the way, the United States, if you're wondering where we rank, we're not in the top 5, clearly. We're not even in the top 10. We rank at 15. We come in 15th.
Even though we're by far the richest.
Right. Exactly. Now, why are people in Finland so happy? Why are people in Lebanon and Afghanistan so unhappy? In fact, Lebanon and Afghanistan happen to be the unhappiest countries. I mean, I don't think we really need to get into that. We know why. But let's get to Finland and why they're happy. They have extensive welfare benefits, low levels of corruption, a well-functioning democracy, and instilled sense of freedom and autonomy. So its progressive taxation and wealth distribution has allowed for a flourishing universal healthcare system, and staggeringly, more than 80% of Finns trust their police force. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Which is far more than many other countries can claim. Everybody has access to the basics, said a communications coordinator in Finland and a mother of two. She's talking about guaranteed healthcare, tuition-free school, a living wage, and affordable housing. These programs are well thought out and work, so that's the basic foundation for you to be happy. Now, it's really interesting because in the context of the United States, the conservative argument or the conservative response to lower birth rates or couples deciding not to have children is, oh, they're entitled, they're lazy, they're selfish, this is moral decline, the decline of the nuclear family. When in reality, there is no support system for parents in this country. It is so incredibly difficult to be a parent who needs to provide childcare in order to go to work, but childcare is astronomical. You get no help from the government. You get what I'm saying? So if the genuine, sincere project for the right wing in America is to increase birth rates, a great way to do it is to actually be supportive of a robust social safety net and provide things like paid family leave so people don't feel like they would put themselves in an unstable economic position if they had children.
Yeah, so look, Israel's an interesting case in there because a lot of people in America use code words when they talk about how well off the Nordic countries are. Not in terms of wealth, again, we're way richer than they are, okay? But in terms of happiness and satisfaction with their government, their police force, etc. They go, oh, they have a homogeneous culture. What they're trying to say is they're white Christians and only white Christians, and that's why they're so happy. And
that is what they say.
That's what they say every time.
Sometimes they just say it. By the way.
Yeah, I know. So I decipher that code for you. Okay. Yeah. So Israel, of course, not Christian, Jewish, and much more militaristic society. So it is totally different in that sense from the other countries. By the way, other social countries like Taiwan also poll really well, even though they don't have the same level of income and are not at all white and are not Christian, et cetera, generally speaking, right? So they don't fit any of those categories. So Israel is pretty right wing on foreign policy, but on domestic policy has almost the same things as Finland does, as Norway does, et cetera. They have universal health care. We fund their military being right wing while we don't even have universal health care here. They're much more liberal on social policies in Israel, and that is why their population is generally happy. Look, super easy to understand. Difference between me and my dad. My dad grows up super poor as a farmer in Turkey. They just don't have a safety net, nothing, right? Their family has no money. The government didn't have much money back then. And so my dad has been stressed his whole life because he had the responsibility of carrying the load for the whole family, all on his shoulders. And if he trips once, we're ruined, right? And so that creates incredible stress. Me, I have the safety of my dad. My dad is amazing and he provided for all of us and he's a giant safety net and saved my life and gave me this great life, led me live the American dream. I'm much happier. I don't live under that stress. Very easy to understand. The only reason why it isn't already crystal clear to every American is because we also have a corporate media here who tells you, oh no, corporate rule was great. Status quo is terrific. You're not supposed to have free healthcare like Finland and all other developed countries and Canada and Japan.
How are we gonna pay for it?
Oh yeah, we can't pay for that. Oh, military weapons that Lockheed Martin gets. Oh, we need that. The super expensive drugs that cost 20 times what they cost anywhere else. Oh, we need that. We got to pay for that. So our media brainwashes us into compliance when we should be the happiest country. We have more opportunity to provide for our citizens. And the last thing is on corruption real quick. Look, guys, that goes to not freedom and safety and security. It goes to fairness.
Yes.
And so America, unfortunately, has become the single most corrupt country in the world because we legalized bribery. We said, no, you can give millions of politicians. So one example out of many, out of thousands and thousands, Sheldon Adelson gave $100 million to Republicans in 3 different elections, twice to Donald Trump. $100 million. And then Donald Trump and the Republicans, but the Democrats do it too, gave him exactly what he wanted. Because who wouldn't give somebody what they want for $100 million? It's obvious brazen bribery, worse than Afghanistan, right? So how can we think it's fair system? And that bothers humans when there's injustice. That's why it's no justice, no peace, because we don't feel peace. So America can do a lot better. We gotta do a lot better. And the good news is we have a model that works. We should look to copying some of that. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.